Hi all, so it's finally happened. Google Glass is launching in the UK with its Explorer program. Unfortunately, however, the price is still astronomically high at £1,000 for what amounts to beta hardware. Honestly, at this kind of juncture, I was half expecting Google to announce at Google I/O that the Google Glass was final and they would be moving towards mass manufacturing, and thus the price would be coming down. This launch of Explorer in the UK is certainly welcome, but why are we still paying for Google's R&D spending when, honestly, you would think by this point they've well and truly tested Explorer to destruction and they should really be ready to mass manufacture this hardware. So let's just go over the main issue I have here really with the way Google is doing this. What they're really saying to Google Explorers is, we've spent X number of million or billion pounds developing this hardware, and essentially the explorers, the developers who want this hardware to create apps and so on and just play around with it, are going to pay off that development budget before we manufacture the product for the mass market. The reason for this is quite simple. If Google was to cost up the whole of Google Glass, how much it's cost for software, research and development, and the physical hardware, then if they went to market, say this year or last year, they would have to factor in the entire cost of that build, the bill of materials and everything else, all of the R&D, and put the product on the market at about, say, £500 to £600. The product would die instantly in the market as overpriced. However, by doing it this way, by saying, hey, you developers, you come and you buy your Google Glass from us as an Explorer, you're the first people in, essentially every single one they sell, there's another £1,000 knocked off the cost of the R&D. Essentially, when they come to market, investors are not going to balk at the fact that they still have to incorporate all of those R&D costs. Obviously, at the same time, they're getting to beta test their hardware and so on. So it's a smart move from a business perspective for Google. But now, we're nearly 3 years in since this Google Glass was first kind of shown to the world, and well, a bit more progress would have been nice. I mean, one of the things we know about the bill of materials, how much it costs to physically make a Google Glass, there's not really more than about $70 worth of physical equipment in there if you were buying 100,000 of each. So, 100,000 little LCDs, 100,000 little ear clips, etc. And you kind of think to yourself, this product is pretty much ready for the mass market. The only thing stopping Google from doing it is the actual launch cost when they mass manufacture. They've got to get some of that cost base down, and the best way to do that is effectively pay it off early. Get rid of that cost, or a large chunk of that cost, over your development time. You get people building apps and so on. You control the ecosystem, and when you launch, it'll launch at $199. So there you go. That's my bet as well. I'm predicting that Google Glass is targeting for $199, £199, somewhere around that kind of price point. My reason for saying that is with a bill of materials of around $70 to $100. There's obviously some leeway there. You're then looking at markup, marketing costs, and so on, the forward operating costs you would have for launching a product effectively, and then a little bit of profit thrown in there. That brings you to a price of around $199. Maybe we'll see $250, maybe $300, but I would have thought the point where they hit the third generation of Google Glass, we are looking at a $199 product. It's supposed to be an accessory to your smartphone, not a new smartphone altogether, so they can't sell it at £600. There's not enough there to justify it versus a mobile phone. Likewise with smartwatches coming onto the market as well, which are going to drop in at the kind of $100 to $200 mark. You're just not going to be able to sell Google Glass for any more than about a $199 price point. There isn't enough there to actually warrant charging more for it, other than the very high cost right now we have of the R&D Google has put in to get to this point. So what do you think? Do you think Google Glass is going to be a massive hit? Are you balked really at the overpricing of Google Glass Explorer? And when do you think Google Glass will launch? Do you think that $199 price point is the magic sweet spot for this technology? Lots of questions, lots of things to think about. Let me know in the comments, and do hit like on this video.